Love and communication are two completely different things. And I learned that from a bag of rice. Yes. Love and communication are completely different. And it came about because it was one of those very intriguing jobs that I did. And I was booked to do a job in a, well, how can I describe it? So, in case you're not local, it's a department, it's like a department in works and pensions. So, basically, like a welfare thing, just to support people and things like that, different areas, not specifically work related, whatever. So, I was booking for the gentleman who is deaf, and he is married to a lady who doesn't speak English. So they are of a different culture and they speak different language. So I was fortunate enough to co-work with a spoken interpreter. So the dynamic alone was now like rich and juicy. So I'm here signing to the person, and then my colleague will be voicing and speaking to the wife while I do my thing. So sometimes we would like do at the same time. Sometimes we have to get the information from him, and then while I'm speaking, she would then relay to the wife, and then the main officer would hear, and then the same vice versa. Or sometimes we would have to wait for the wife to respond, and then the my colleague, the spoken interpreter, would then say what she said, and then I was signing to the husband. So it's a dynamic, interesting thing, and that also like prolongs the interaction and the dynamics because we're waiting. And sometimes it's beautiful to watch, actually, to just be part of. And in that meeting was one of the kids. So in that we've found out that they've been married for years, so it's not like a new relationship. So they have actually some teenage kids and all those things. She doesn't know sign language like that. They have their own, or British Sign Language, they have their own home signs, or signs they've made up. And, I would just wonder, like, how did they like communicate? Like, it was just weird because he doesn't speak the language. He understands sign, English somewhat, but not his native cultural language. So even if they would speak to him, but I guess after a while, maybe you would pick out different phrases from the culture and then sign that. But because when we asked him, like, do you understand the data? And he was like, no, but they're married. You got kids, not just the one, kids. So interesting dynamics. Yeah. So we did that role back and forth. Everything was flowing. The officer got everything that they needed. And it was now time to just next step, what's going to happen, what they needed to do, and when the next appointment would be. And now it was time to now do our goodbyes and, close out the meeting and let everyone go their way. However, the gentleman just went, excuse me, I'm going to ask a question. Oh, fine. So we now set it back in. And it's like, okay, let's ask the question then. So now the officer was there thinking the question was going to be directed to him, right? And so he started. And everyone's like, okay, what's the question? My spoken colleague as well was waiting for the answer, like the question, and like everyone's like, and he now said, okay, can you please tell your colleague to tell my wife, oh, that bag of rice I bought need to last for a whole month. It was like, okay. It was interesting, peculiar, like, you mean in my head? So I voiced the thing, like, okay, can you tell his wife that the bag of rice he bought needs to last for the whole month? So my colleague, spoken language, said it to the wife. And the wife was now like, then she now started voicing what the wife was saying. How do you think that bag of rice is? Do you know how many how many of us were in the house? Like, it's not going to be because we eat rice every single day. And it's like this. So she was now going off like how that's not going to work. And also, the money that he gave for this is not this. And that. Like, you were just, she was not ranting. So I was now, she's saying, I'm signing what my colleague is saying to him. And he was about to go, yeah, but all I know is the bag of rice needs to be enough to last us a month. And as I was about to, like, as I said that, and my colleague was going to say that to the wife, the officer like, okay, okay, this is not the place. We've done what we needed to do here. You guys need to go and sort that out somewhere else. And in that moment, I was like, ooh, I mean, okay, I get it. I understand where the officer is coming from. We've done our bit. But the bigger picture of what's the dynamic at home? They've got kids who are going through school and who are doing this, and it's just so fascinating. And it just reminds me of how people don't realize that 90% of deaf children are born from hearing parents, right? And how that as well, imagine you're hearing and you have a deaf child and you don't know sign language, you don't know the culture, especially if you want them to sign, and then their language, you take them through the school system, they're teaching your child how to sign and how to communicate and how to express themselves, and you don't know, or you haven't taken the time to learn or want to understand. And then there's this friction, and then you do your own home science, and it's like you do a thing, and like, yes, we understand, but when it really comes to really expressing oneself, like truly pouring it out, because when I've been in situations where the parents of the kids that are deaf, you can tell they love their kids. You can tell they would do everything and whatever. And there's still moments where that frustration of not being able to express themselves because they haven't got that full language. Imagine like it's like sometimes when my kids will be speaking to me and they will say something, I'll go, huh? I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. Imagine someone says that to you. Like, how do you feel when someone's, oh, don't worry, it's okay? Because you don't want to take that time to fully express what you are wanting to say or how you want to feel. So that builds up and that frustration can really take it apart. So when this dynamic happened where this gentleman married someone who they don't have similar language to, and it just makes me wonder like how a lot of people actually flourish with falling in love without truly having a common language or being truly able to express themselves. But you find a way. You know, there's the advantage and disadvantage of the dynamics of, okay, so now he really wanted to make sure that she got about the rice. That rice is for this, that rice is for that, you know? And even my own, another element of this is, so I'm Nigerian and I'm from the Igbo tribe. And like Nigeria has over 200 plus different dialects, right? And in the Igbo, it's like there's still different, like each locality has their own way of saying the bigger language. Or say here, even in the UK, I'm based in London, the way we would sign certain things and certain phrases, when you just go up north, or even like right up to Scotland, a sign that we would do here is different from there. Like we go holiday over here, they go holiday. It's the same United Kingdom, right? It's the same, use the same, somewhat the same structure, language, everything. But can you just see how different the regional signs are? There are regional signs. So if you like sometimes like especially I know I'm going all over the places, but here over there, so it's just having that understanding that there is that regional side of things. So for me, growing up, when my parents we predominantly spoke English at home, and my parents would speak what I thought was Igbo to each other, right? They'll be speaking Igbo, and then family friends will come around and we start speaking. And I started like learning the language because when I went into school, I was in boarding school at the time. The school had they had like, pockets of people, like Yoruba people here, Igbo, and then it's like those. I was with the, luckily, fortunately for me, I was sharing rooms with other Igbo girls. And they'll be bantering, speaking Igbo. So when I went home, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like practice and learn this Igbo so that when I go back, I'll speak. Came back and I was there thinking, now I know what you're saying. Let me tell you my bit. And then I was there speaking Igbo, right? To them. And this is them going, huh? What are you talking about? What's that? And they'll be looking at each other. What's she talking? What's she saying? And I'm like, I'm speaking Igbo. It's Igbo now, isn't it? Like, no, that's not Igbo. I don't know what you're speaking now. Like, that's not Igbo. So now my head is doing numbers. Like, what the heck are you talking about? That's not Igbo. So that just, and you know how my people are, oh, like, look, they would tease you. And the way they said it was like, what, they talk, that's not Igbo. Like, what? Like, you know how it is. And then you just go like, oh my gosh. I was there thinking I can speak Igbo. And these people are just like, they just tore me down and made fun of me in the process that I just locked in. So the next term break, I went back home. I was like, why do you say we're Igbos when we're not speaking Igbo in this house? You are not speaking Igbo. And my parents like, no, we're Igbo. We're speaking a dialect of Igbo, which is from where we are, we're Item, and this is how we speak our version of Igbo. I went, oh, so what we speak here is not what everybody speaks. Yeah. So there's a general Igbo, and then there's like regions, right? There's dialects, like different tribes have their own way of saying the bigger language. The same is true for sign language, where we have the region sign, right? And then one that everyone kind of like understands. Even peculiarly, like sign language here in UK and in America is 70% different. So you can see how how all these things are like falling in place. So with that, going into school and being told that I'm not speaking Igbo, I locked in and didn't want to speak the language because I'll be speaking my dialect because they didn't speak the general Igbo at home. We spoke our native way of saying things. So I just resorted to stop speaking Igbo. And now I speak it now. It's with, I try to speak it ingeniously, but sometimes it comes in with an accent or sometimes, but I understand what people are saying, most cases anyway. I understand what even the general one, or sometimes even what my units would say. But that was a thing, that I was like, yeah, I can get this. So I wondered what the dynamics is. Like sometimes you leave a job and you think like, man, how did they resolve this thing? Like how did they would it be like the kids now being the middle person, like they would understand? Because mom would speak, because one of the kids came with them and she was speaking their dialect to this child, and this child understood what my mom was saying. And the husband is there, like, I'm sure he's signing, and the kids too will be picking up signs, like, so they might, that would, man, I just like picturing what all that would look like and how all that would land and flow. It's very interesting how communication can sometimes bridge, like love is still there, the relationship is still there. It can hinder it, it can make it stronger or whatever. Yeah, I guess it's making that extra effort to make sure that we find a way, even if it's not the general thing that everybody knows, as long as the family unit has their own way of making sure no one's left out or everyone's communicating in their own way. Do let me know in the comment section, like what should be your experience or how, like what's the dynamic? Because we always think it's from one to the other, but when you have an extra layer of parents don't speak English, child is sign is therefore the other way around, or they don't have the language structure to be able to express themselves, and like those are like extra layers. Or is it going to be like an extra disability to the deafness? And it's all very, it's not all straightforward all the time. Like it's like I hear it and give it. Like sometimes I've even worked with um, clients who their posture, like they can't make up their shapes properly, and then you're having to sometimes guess until you know of them and know what they're trying to say or express themselves, because you have colleagues who've been working with them for so long that they do this and they know what they mean because of like how. So I'm thinking the same is true for like all these different layers and all these different dynamics, but it's just so interesting that, yeah, loving someone doesn't have necessarily have to mean that you speak the same language or you express yourself the same way. It's like there's all these different layers and dynamics, but it was so interesting where when you think you have an official thing that you're about to say and it's like, no, the bag of rice. Let me know, what's your version of the bag of rice? What's been your experience about like how all these layers and things are out there? Because it'll be very interesting to see how others relate to that and how, yeah, it can be. I am Nene, and I do this every single day. Remember that your voice matters and it is your time to use it. Bye for now.